Who we have in the building today, man?
Well, this young man has been making noise ever since he stepped into the ring at the tender age of 7 years old. With over 250 amateur wins, to the New York Golden Gloves, to the Olympic trials, to being voted 2023 ESPN and Ring Magazine Prospect of the Year. He's not just chasing belts, he's building a legacy. Please welcome to the Global Boxing Network, Bruce Shu Shu Carrington.
Shu Shu. Nice to have you here.
All right, so before we get into the mix, GBN, we are the voice of the fans, right? So we always like to have fan engagement. My question to you, just to get this thing started, what do you love most about fans, engaging with the fans? And, what is it you love about them?
See, for me, like, I always think about my experience coming up as a kid and just interacting with certain people, like certain fans and celebrities that would like kind of like, just come around the neighborhood or any type of event I would go through. And the feeling that I would get. And just sometimes, let's say if I go to a basketball game and I see my favorite basketball player, I have the mentality like, I might not ever see this person again. So I'm going to really cherish this moment as much as as I can. I think about my fans in that way, and like they feel like that may be the same thing for them. Right, they're gonna be super excited, trying to meet me and all that type of stuff. So I always want to give them the best experience that they can get from moving back.
That's beautiful. Yes, sir.
Well, having over 200 amateur fights, what was the transition that you had felt that you were ready from amateur to pro?
Well, so I would say I always kind of had like pro style, in the amateurs, I wasn't always, how can I say, the style just didn't fit me, the whole touch and go, pity pat. Cause me, I really like to sit down and, hurt my opponents and like kind of like, you don't have 33 rounds is sometimes not enough time to do all of that, break the guy down and stuff. So the mentality was always there for the pros. It was always kind of set up. But then I was the alternate for the 2016, right? But at that time, I was 19 years old, didn't have any international experience. And I kind of feel like, I just wasn't, ready physically. I was really honest with myself. I always wanted to feel like by the time I turned pro, I want to feel like I can beat the champion in my pro debut. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always wanted to have that mentality. And I wasn't that confident back when I was 19 years old. So I was like, okay, let's do this Olympic run again. Let's wait 4 more years. And let's get that experience. Let's get that maturity. And let's get the, all of the rounds. And so I can be able to have that confidence when it's time. And by 2025, by 2021, that's when I finally made my pro debut. And I was more than ready. I was already locked in and I just kind of hit the ground running.
Did you train down at the Olympic training facility?
Yes, yeah.
The spring?
Oh, yeah. I was
so
always
that makes
kind of
sense when you're running the
hills out here. Yeah, 100%. That's actually, I learned how important it was to train in like high altitude when I was training in an Olympic training center because, dude, when I tell you my chest was burning, running up, it was crazy
up there.
The air is super thin, and but that let me know, okay, there are people that literally live out in Colorado that I probably wouldn't even be able to compete with because they are putting themselves through that type of work. I'm living in New York. I'm sea level. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna have the altitude work, so I had to invest money and travel to these places in order to get that type of feel. But now I live in Vegas. You know what I mean? I'm running up Mount Charleston, doing this, treacherous work, working like no one else is working. And I have like supreme confidence that I'm going to be the best in the featherweight division, in time.
I know that we have some other segues to other dynamics through this whole process today, but we talked about a little bit of that training regimen, and when I heard what you told me, it's the whole day.
Yeah, it's a whole day. It's definitely a whole day thing. A lot of guys, they try to train in this comfort box. I don't like to do that at all, bro. I don't like that. I like to really like push myself. Even if I'm in the gym, we have a simple day in the gym, I want to feel like I have completed everything and more in my workout, that's just my mentality. But, let's say if I'm in training camp, I work out 3 times a day. I would wake up at 3:30 in the morning, work out at 4 o'clock. That probably lasts about an hour and a half. And then I'm back in the gym at 12 or 1 p.m. And that training session probably like 2.5 hours boxing session. And then I have strength and conditioning back at 7:30 p.m. You know, it's a whole day, and then you sleep, and then, you know, do it all over again the next day. You know, I feel like that's the type of mentality and training that you need in order to be a champion.
I'm out of breath listening to that.
Bro, I used to live about 30 miles from the training center, so I know what it's like with that altitude. And if I go back there and I walk, and I'm out of breath. So there's one other thing I like to talk about, because working out and things of that have to come with a lifestyle diet. Some people call it a diet.
Yes. Yeah.
But when it's your lifestyle, this is something I always like to throw in, because I know there's a lot of people out there when they want to get down to their health and their workout and their regimen, especially the fighters. Give us a little brief about what that looks like for you and your food intake.
Well, you know, I've been on a plant-based diet for the past 8 years. I don't call it a diet. I don't like to call it
That's
that.
dying.
Yeah, it feels like, you know what I mean? It feels like like you're constrained. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like something holding you back. Like, it feels like you know, you're just putting yourself in a prison, like a box. You're limiting yourself. Like, nah, it's just a lifestyle for me. It's the way I eat. You know, I have felt much stronger. I've been, you know, more energetic. Haven't, like, before I made the transition, I used to get ill, like, when I say, like, probably like 3-4 times a year.
Wow.
And it was just so normal for me, because it was just like that my whole life. I used to just, you know, but when I made the transition, I'm like, man, I wasn't supposed to have these chest pains and all this tightness. And then even when I am down and out, when I'm sick, I'm out for the whole week thing there. But now, being that I'm on a plant-based diet, I'm probably out for probably like a day or two, if that. And I'm back on my feet. The recovery is just different. So that's when I was like, okay, like, this is the right path that I need to be on.
Well, we're going to feel guilty eating lunch today. Thanks a lot.
Hey, man, but listen, I would say, though, like, the vegan and plant-based diet, it's not for everyone. That's not something that, like, I kind of, like, I preach about it for myself and what it's done for me, but it's not for everybody's
body's different.
No, everyone's body's different. It just works out for me.
Nice.
So you made the transition 2.5 years ago from New York to Las Vegas. I mean, I always tell everybody, if you're gonna make it, you gotta move to Vegas. You know what I mean? It's just the sparring elite, you're around champions, the atmosphere, you're in the Mecca, man. Talk a little bit about that transition, and what do you love about Vegas?
Okay, so I had no idea where I was gonna move. I knew I wanted to move out of New York, right? But I had no idea where I wanted to move. Like, I was thinking about Jersey at the time, but I'm just like, I wasn't sold just yet, right? But, you know, my pro debut ends up being on Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3 card on the T-Mobile Arena, right? Crazy, right? You know what I'm saying?
One of the best fights I've ever
Right. Seriously,
Oh,
right?
my God.
It was wild. But so I always believe in, you know, training camp has to be, well, at least when I was in New York, it has to be in a place where you're fighting, right? So you can get acclimated, high altitude, all of that stuff. So when I did my training camp for about like a month and a half out here in Vegas, it was like, okay, like the heat, I love the heat.
Yeah.
I love the altitude. I love the sparring, like you mentioned earlier. It's like all the who's were there. And it was like something that I was craving, because in New York around that time that I was there, it was like a lot of people weren't sparring me anymore. They're like kind of ducking, like, oh, my hand hurt. And then the whole time I'm seeing them doing like a whole little speed video, hitting pads on Instagram. I'm just like, bro, your hand hurt. Or you left your mouthpiece back at home. Some excuse, bro. Some excuse. I was just getting sick and tired of it. So me being in Vegas and seeing every single gym had someone my size and I was eager to spar and they were great work. I'm like, oh yeah, I love this. Like, this was something that I was immediately drawn to. I'm addicted to hard work. So I was like, okay, did all my training camp here. Nothing changed in terms of competitiveness. I'm like, okay, I got to live here. This is I thrive in this. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was super easy making this transition.
Awesome.
Now, you turned pro, and, you know, you started going from 4-rounders to 6-rounders to 8 to 10. And your last fight was your first 12-rounder. You captured the interim WBC title. You are with Top Rank. They got Hall of Fame matchmakers, Bruce Trampler, Brad Goodman. They've been keeping you super busy, man. Talk about, you know, going in from, like you said, the amateurs to the hurt game and those 4 to 6 to 10, you know, to 12-round fights, man. Just talk a little bit about, you know, how you're being moved, how you're staying busy, and just the pro career.
Well, first things first, Top Rank has been doing, you know, they've been treating me great. You know, I feel like it was kind of a no-brainer for me to, you know, get with Top Rank because I've noticed how they're able to make guys household names or just, you know, just a familiar face, even when, you know, a crisis is going on. The pandemic, the bubble, they put out the most amount of fights. It seemed like there was a fight almost every weekend or bi-weekly at least. You know what I'm saying? It was amazing seeing Jared Anderson building his name, Xander Zayas build his name, Edgar Berlanga building his name. In that time period, it was like, yo, these dudes are like, they're doing a great job. And then on top of that, their longevity, it's been since Muhammad Ali was fighting. You know, I'm just like, okay, like, these guys know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They really push their fighters and make a name for themselves. And that's the main thing that I wanted coming out into the pro ranks. So when it came to that, their matchmaking, and then me just going into like the 4, 6, 8 rounders, 10, 12, it was like great pacing for me. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's just been so super easy with Top Rank because we've all just kind of figured that we've kind of just been on the same path where I want to go. Like, oh yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I really love like what Top Rank has been doing for my career, and it's just the beginning.
Well, you talked about the pace, right? For the young fighters out there, guys in the amateurs, some that are turning pro, talk a little bit about the pace in the 4-round fight as opposed to the 12-round, the 10-round fight.
Yeah.
Pace. What advice would you give a young fighter?
Well, you know, when it comes to like 4-rounders, it's very similar to the amateurs with 3-rounders, but it's just one extra round. So you don't really have that much time to pace yourself. You're ready to just get in and get out. Once you start hitting 6 rounds, you're starting to feel a little difference. Like you start to realize like, okay, I can take my time a little more, but it's still not a lot, right?
Right.
Once you start hitting the 8, 10, 12 rounds, that's when, you know, you separate the boys from the men. That's when you really start seeing like, okay, like I really have to dig deep in my bag and not be repetitive like I was in the first 4 rounds. Or the first 4 rounds, I was straight energy and straight energized. But now 5, 6, 7, it's starting to feel like, okay, I'm getting a little fatigued. What am I supposed to do? That's when you really have to like really depend on your IQ and think on the fundamentals. And that's when you really see who's going to become a champion in the next, you know, year or so, next 2 years, because you're preparing when you're at the 8 rounds for the 10s and the 12s, and you really start to, you know, make a difference and separate yourself from, like I said earlier, the boys.
I never really asked this question because every round could be tough, depending on the pressure, what's going on in the fight. But is there ever a round that you could say you felt like you've always were at your best? Just that one round, like you knew you was cooking.
Oh, okay, for sure.
What round did you chef them up the most in your thought process?
Okay, so it was against, what was it, last year, February, against Bernard Torres. I think it was the round when I stopped him. What was that, the 5th or 6th round? I can't remember, but I was on fire. It was kind of like, in the beginning, it was a little competitive. Like, he would touch me with some shots, but I kind of never stayed out of control of the fight. I always had full control, but it was just a little more competitive in the beginning. But as the fight goes on, like, you know, like I said, separate the boys from the men. I started to really dig deep into the bag and the IQ. Started to notice he started to, you know, slow down. And then I think it was the 5th round when I noticed he didn't like the pressure. I go back to the corner. Coach K is like, hey, what do you see? He don't like that pressure. And then he's like, all right, go at him. Let's get him.
That's when Rihanna started singing in your head. I feel it coming in there.
Exactly.
Cook.
And then that, I just felt like in that round, I was kind of in a flow state. Like everything was just hitting to the point where at the end of the round, the crowd, like they're literally feeling and getting louder as I'm touching them. I'm like, oh yeah, the knockout is coming. I'm seeing different videos of people post the knockout. But before then, there's like, oh yeah, knock him out, because they just feel it happening.
Right.
And then, boom, and I just got him with the right hook, and then he would just sleep face first. And I think that was like the best. Like, I think where I could answer your question with a round, I felt like I was just in that flow state.
Awesome.
Now, I want to touch on something that industry people know about the program, and this is the hurt game, as opposed to supposedly the amateurs where you're just trying to win on points.
Yeah.
You said you had a pro style.
Yeah.
So talk about the hurt game mentality, dude. What do you have to have to take it to the next level?
You know, people that aren't interested in, you know, the hurt game, they might look at the sport of boxing like barbaric. You know what I'm saying? Like they might look at it as that, and understandably so. I get it, but you gotta also have to understand that this is like, you know, it's a sweet science, right? But at the same time, you gotta have that, you know, killer mentality, because the guy that's across the ring from you, it's like it's either you or him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Tenderize.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, you know, like I was just talking to you guys, you know, off air about a knockout that I had in my second fight. You know, I hurt the guy, and, you know, he was obviously out on his feet, but because the ref didn't step in time, I still got off like 2 more shots while he was out on his feet, you know? And in my mind, I always think about, like, you never play with your food. And I've seen a lot of guys that get knocked down or hurt in the fight, but they still come back and win a fight.
Stronger.
They get stronger. You know what I'm saying? They kind of feed off that energy.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, nah, that's not going to happen with me. And so I was like, yeah, I got to get him up out of there, and I got to finish him. I, you know, double tap. And after that, at that point, it was like, yeah, like you kind of got to have that sadistic mentality, that real, you know, animal beast mentality. And, you know, like Mike Tyson, he is a, you know, man, I'd be like, you know, what would he say in that interview? He was calling out Lennox Lewis, and he was like, I eat your kids, you know, all that stuff. Like, yeah, I'm ferocious, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of got to have that mentality in order to be, you know, one of the best in the sport that you do. Because if not, then you're just going to hold yourself back.
Same area.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, we're from Brownsville. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got Zab Juke, Riddick Bowe, from Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. Yeah, no, Richard Hitchens, he's not from Brownsville, but he's from Brooklyn.
He's from Brooklyn.
He's from Brooklyn. Yeah, different neighborhood. Danny Jacobs. Yes. So, yeah.
Some big time names there.
And you went viral for quoting Mike after one of your fights. That went viral all over the world.
Yeah.
Man, that was pretty dope. Can you do it right now?
No. I retired it, dude. I retired it.
You retired it?
It is hilarious, bro.
Mike was on the undercard
Hey,
of
but you
Mike's
nailed
cassette.
it.
Yeah. I was. You know what's
nailed
funny? Let me
He's
tell
on
you
the
about that. Right? So that was okay. So the fight that we talked about earlier with Bernard Torres, that's my first fight on TV. And then I got the spectacular knockout that got onto Sports Center top 10, all that type of stuff. It was already going crazy, right?
Ring.
Right, exactly, right. So when I did that whole interview, and I quoted Tyson, and I did the whole thing, Tyson called my team, was like, "Oh man, you guys are crazy, man. I can't believe you did that." And then he calls me and is like, "Listen, like, I want you on my card when I fight Jake Paul." Like, I'm like, no, that was wild. That joint would have had like over like 3 million views on Instagram, on different like platforms on Instagram, like different pages. And it was like a bunch of people loved it. And I even messed up on the beginning part of it too. But I feel like that's me messing up also made it even funnier, and it made more engagement.
Yeah.
So that was like my own remix of it. But it opened up that opportunity for me to fight on such a big stage. And I just felt like it was just like God. It was heaven sent. Yeah. It was heaven sent for me to, like, you know, do all of that. Look where I ended up.
Manifest that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Manifest it.
Definitely. Freaking Mike Tyson, he retired boxing the year after I started boxing. You know, but with Kevin McBride, his last fight. Like, yeah, he retired. So I'm ever thinking I'm ever gonna see him fight live, be on the same card with him. That was wild to me. And I already look at Mike Tyson as like a icon, and you know what I'm saying? He's from Brownsville,
no
bro.
doubt.
He's, you know,
Great,
he's a legend,
man.
Great
guy.
Yeah, serious.
Same street.
So let's talk about winning the interim WBC featherweight title.
Yes.
You know, the fight with Hayter,
Mm-hmm.
and how you feel about that, how that went in on big stage, how you feel about that stage at Madison Square Garden. What was that like?
Man, fighting in Madison Square Garden is always great, bro.
Sure, York.
Yeah, New York City.
New York. It's New York City.
Hey man, I love the
That's
people.
right. Seeing you
I love the fact you guys, y'all take that and have honor in that. I love that so much. I kind of just threw it out there. Y'all just y'all accepted it. And every single time I walk the streets in New York, I shoot New York City. And somebody driving in their car, we're yelling out the window. I'm like, yo, what's up? And it feel real good. But yeah, man. I fought in Madison Square Garden theater about 7 times at this point. Wow. And I've really made it a home, and it's the home of so many, different big fights that's happened there. So for me to continue fights for my people is always great. And for me to fight for the WBC interim title there, it was also like, monumental for me. It was something that I really wanted to show, like, I'm not just a guy that's just gonna go in there and knock somebody out. Like, I can walk you down, I can be the Brownsville bully all day, but I'm also, a surgeon. I see myself as a guy that's, I could just, I could do it all. And that was my opportunity to show that I could go the full 12 rounds. It's my first scheduled 12 rounder.
Wow.
And I felt like I went through it with ease, with my legs was great, stamina was great, game plan we had was, just on the money. I was pretty accurate. I made sure that the guy didn't hit me too much. He had a low connect percentage. So we did everything we were supposed to do. And I showcased, that I am definitely on the championship level.
Was that your favorite place to fight?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, 100%. Like my people are there, bro. Like the fans are just different. And I sometimes find myself feeding off that energy.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you can't get a little too drunk off that though, because then you start to do a little too much. And I've definitely had my experience in doing that as well in one of my fights. But that's just the experience that you go through. That's the much maturity you go through. And I'm glad that I was able to go through all different type of experiences before I get my world title opportunity.
So what was your greatest adversity between the time you went up into that?
I would say
Madison Square Garden.
I would say it was against my was it last September in New York against Suleiman Sagawa.
Okay.
That was against he's a tough fighter. Tough fighter, really.
Had a big win.
Yeah, I just noticed. I feel like for him, it was like I was already on a knockout streak, right? So my mentality was like, oh, I'm gonna knock this guy out too. I'm home and everything, right? And up until that point, every single time I fought in New York, I had got a knockout. So it was like, I want to keep this train rolling. All of that BS. You know what I'm saying? I got drunk off of it. You know what I mean?
It's a good learning experience.
It was great learning experience.
Yeah.
We was fighting for the WBC silver title.
Yep.
And I'm noticing like this guy, like he had a good game plan, and I wasn't on my boxing, mentality. I was trying to knock the guy out, but the best thing for me to do was to box him. If I would have done that, if I would have gone much easier, I would have been more dominant and probably would have got the knockout that way.
Yep. So you've gone 12 rounds in your last fight with Hida. What do you think are your strengths and weaknesses moving forward? What would you work on, and what do you think you can go back to the drawing board with?
Okay, so in terms of weaknesses, I would say just to start off a little, faster in terms of like, just really starting to dissect my opponent, because I really, really like to, at times take about a round or two, maybe even 3 to like really figure a guy out, but just to still be defensively aware and, just tighten up on stuff like that. I noticed, Mayweather used to be like that. Bud Crawford used to be like that. And that's just something that, okay, like I'm on the right track when it comes to like, following those guys, but let's like tighten up even more. So, I felt like when it came to my last fight, that's one of the main things that kind of spoke out to me. But when it comes to my strengths, I'm great at adjusting. Like I'm super good at adjusting. If anything fails, if all else fails, I know like, okay, like I'm gonna adjust and figure this guy out by, round 2, 3, right? My IQ, just my experience. Like I've seen it all at this point. Like I've seen so many different styles. I've sparred against different guys, champions, you name them, I've done it. You know what I'm saying? I think the last time I would say I was a style that I have yet to come across that was just very different for me, but I started to figure out pretty fast was against Venado Lopez. Like he's like really like unorthodox, And the first time I sparred him, it was like, okay, this is something new, you know. But with my experience that I've had in boxing already, I was able to hold my own. And then as we continued to spar, it just became more familiar to me as the time went on. So where it was like, okay, so now I even take some of his unorthodox, you know, habits, and I use it, you know, with my sharp boxing as well, and I kind of mix the two pretty well together. So you'll probably like see that from time to time in my fights or something wild. But it seems like it's like weird and just comes out of nowhere, but it's all calculated. You know what I'm saying? There's a method to the madness, you know? But yeah, I think those are the two, like, the strengths and weaknesses that I've figured out in my last fight.
Nice. Next, you've shown power, you've shown real technical skill.
Yes, sir.
Show a little bit of everything.
Yes,
Now
sir.
let's get the title.
Yeah. I mean, I got to get the opportunity.
Get the
You know what I'm saying?
Stack it up.
Okay. I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad you said that because a lot of these dudes, like, I'm calling out every name that there is. Like, all of the guys that have the titles, I'm calling each and every one of their names out. And their answer is always, oh, yeah, I'll fight him once he get a title. How the heck am I going to get a title if all of y'all keep saying that I need a title to fight y'all? Like, exactly. You're like, I mean, I'm the interim champ. Is that good enough for y'all? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like at this point right now, it's just excuses. You know, it's BS. You know what I mean? Like, I understand, you know, you guys want to, you know, protect the title and whatnot, you know, have that, you know, cradle in your arms is cool. But listen, this is boxing. And, you know, it's mano a mano, it's a real man sport. And that title don't even really mean that much until you fight someone that's worth that, you know, that title, you know, a real champion. And yeah, I definitely feel like I'm one of those guys, and I know I'm the best in the division. And if y'all got a problem with it, do something about it.
Call him.
Heard
Seriously.
that.
Well,
I heard it here on GBN.
That takes me to my next question. Let's get into the featherweight division, the landscape,
Yeah.
right? You're the WBC interim champion. You got Stephen Fulton, Ray Vargas is in recess, Rafael Espinosa, Angelo Leo, Brandon Figueroa. There's a lot of fights to be made. Nick Ball.
Yeah.
Talk a little about this landscape, and what is your message to all those guys?
Dude, man, like, I haven't seen the featherweight division this hot in a while.
Very,
Like,
very
I
hot
don't know when the last time every sanctioning body has been occupied by one person in the featherweight division. So this is one of the hottest divisions in boxing right now, and I'm super happy to be a part of it. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is something that, you know, makes me wake up in the morning and run at 3 at the clock, and you know what I'm saying, and just, like, you know, really pushes me and really motivates me. But you have yet to see unification.
Yeah.
Like, it's been like this for, like, how many, like, 2 years at this point now? Like, when is the melting pot gonna start, you know, cooking? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, you know, ridiculous to me, and it's something that I really don't respect. You know, I feel like I'm the perfect guy to be in the mix to, you know, crash the party. And, you know, once I grab one of the belts, I'm going after each and every one of them. I might mess around. You can quote me on this, but I might mess around and be the first undisputed featherweight world champion in the 4-belt era. I might mess around and do that. Like, that's something that I genuinely feel like is super possible, because I'm comfortable making 126 in, you know, for as long as I want to. And, you know, a lot of guys, they be like, oh, you look big for 126. I genuinely don't think I look big. And if I look big, what you want to call Espinosa? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't hear nobody saying that about him.
You heard it here on GBN. Shu Shu's going for the smorgasbord.
Yeah, man.
He's
you know, why not?
Well, one thing about the smaller weight classes that most people don't realize is there's more of you on the planet.
Yeah.
You got Mexicans, Filipinos,
Yeah.
Asian that are like smaller guys. So there's more of the pool to win that unification and be that guy and be the undisputed. It's very, very, very difficult. And I give you props for that high goal.
Thank you.
To be that guy.
I appreciate it.
So can we maneuver? You kind of segue into this here about the matchups and unification, and when you look at some of the top dogs in the division, where do you feel like you match up best and with who, and any specific matchup that excites you? You know?
I mean, I feel like with giving all of the styles that the champions have, each and every one of them are equally interesting to me. I would say, you know, with Stephen Fulton, if he decides to stay at 126, that'll be a great fight for the Northeast guys. Philly versus New York. We could have a big fight in Madison Square Garden in a big room. That'll be epic. That'll be ridiculous.
Yeah.
I feel like he is a nice mix of rumble and boxing, same as me. That would be a great fight, you know. Then let's go to Nick Ball. Man, I really want to fight Nick Ball. He's one of those guys that really like fights with his heart on his sleeve, you know. He's a short guy. It's always entertaining and pleasing to watch a short guy beat up a guy bigger than him. So me watching Nick Ball is like, it's super satisfying, you know what I'm saying? But I know that there's a lot of things that I see in this game that it falls like perfectly for me, like match made for me to expose. You know, a lot of people think highly of him, and I do as well. But I would love to have the opportunity to just show that there's levels to this. Espinosa, another guy, hard on his sleeve. I became a fan of his this first fight against Robesi Ramirez. You know, a lot of people, they kind of fell into that as well too with him. And I would just love the opportunity to fight him because, you know, he seems like he's the most difficult guy to fight to a lot of people because of his height and whatnot. But there's a lot of things that I see in his game as well that I could, you know, take advantage of. And then we have Angelo Leo. I've sparred Angelo Leo before. I'm pretty familiar with him. And I would love to have an opportunity with him as well too. I feel like, you know, all of these guys equally, they interest me in the same way. Some more than others for different reasons, though. I wouldn't say the matchup is what separates them. For me, it's what's more lucrative, what's you know, the name, what name grabs you the most and stuff like that. And when I think about that, I think about Nick Ball. Nick Ball, he's probably the most, you know, notable guy out of all of the, you know, all of the guys that I've mentioned. Stephen Fulton is there as well too, but there's like, you know, a little stain on his record because he lost to, you know, Naoya anyway, and he got knocked out in that fight. So I think the undefeated Nick Ball is the fight that I really want to go after first. But then if not, Espinosa, you guys seen me call him out, you know, in my last fight, and you know, like a lot of people don't do that. This is why I feel like I'm just different from everyone, because they'll know certain fighters in the crowd. You know, they're kind of, you know, the person that's in the crowd, sometimes they're there to, you know, just show face and, you know, trying to intimidate the guy that they want to fight in the future or whatever. No, we gonna lock horns, bro. You see me, I'm gonna call you right out. Like, you came to watch me fight for a reason. Let's not BS. You know what I mean? Like, you wanted the attention, and I gave you the attention that you wanted. So let's make something happen. Same thing with Naoya anyway. When I fought in June of last year, he came to watch me fight and then left right after. You know, to let everybody know he came to watch me. When these fights don't happen, it's not because of me. Just you guys know that, and y'all see that from the time that I've been on TV. Like, I'm calling these guys out. I'm letting you guys know that I'm striving to be the best, and I want these fights to happen. If these fights don't happen, it's not because of me.
I think another name that's kind of decent is Brandon Figueroa.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He comes forward. He just had another big win. I mean, that's just another name, you know, stylistically. So, yeah, man, you called out all these guys. It's a hot division, no doubt about it. Now let's get into the mental game.
Yeah, what do you think, growing up in Brownsville, how did that shape your mental game in boxing and just as a human being?
Oh, man, like, to be honest, me coming from New York, I kind of have that pride of just like, you know, New York is just kind of like, if you could survive in New York, you could survive anywhere. And just that hustle and bustle, high demand type of, you know, fast-paced type of city, you can't really compare that to anywhere else in the world. Like, there's other places that's similar to New York, but it could never really see that type of demand and fast pace as New York. And that mentality, that you know, that Empire State of Mind type of thing, it's like, it's second to none to me when it comes to hustling. You know what I mean? And just growing up in that is one thing. Then when you think about Brooklyn alone, just that in that borough, it's very grimy. It's probably it's known as the grimiest borough out of the, you know, the city. And then you think about Brownsville, that neighborhood. There's people that's in Brooklyn, that's from Bed-Stuy, all that type of stuff. Like, they would even walk through Brownsville at a certain time of night. That's how dangerous it is. Wow. You know, we were talking about this kind of off camera when we've seen people die, you know, in front of our face. You know, and I've seen people get stabbed like at the age of 5, shootings just kind of like happening just because it's the first hot day of the year. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that type of environment, you kind of just you live through it, and you build that tough skin. And low key, I'm gonna lie to you, you kind of sometimes even build pride in that type of environment long enough. So it's like, okay, like I know that I'm a killer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm gonna have that mentality that no one else has, and I already beat you. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of always come into that ring with supreme confidence.
I love it.
Yeah.
You already won the fight before you walked in the ring.
100%.
Whether it's the gym, the mindset.
100%. I genuinely don't care what you've been through.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been through more than you. I've seen certain things, and that's just what it is. Yeah. That's just what it is.
You have to
It's
have
New
that as
York.
a fighter. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I always say there's pie, like the slices, right? To be a great prize fighter, your pie has to be filled like 95%. Can you punch? Can you take a punch? Can you handle the money? Can you?
Oh yeah, well, you
Oh,
definitely. Oh yeah.
Right, and one of them is fighting in front of a big crowd, right? A lot of fighters super great when they're sparring. They're in there, they're dominating sparring sessions. And when they get to the big fight, the big lights, they kind of just freeze and they pucker up.
You've seen a bunch of that, bro.
You seem to be a guy that has a lot of those pies filled up. Talk a little bit about fighting in front of those big crowds, like you just mentioned. New York, Vegas.
Dallas.
I mean, that's a big part of the pie.
Dallas, yeah,
man.
I fought at 18-team stadium, bro. Like that was crazy.
67,000 people.
You know, I would say that I've kind of had, like, luckily, me growing up in New York, and me growing up in New York, I fought in the Golden Gloves about 3 times. So I fought in the Barclays Center, Madison Square Garden as an amateur. So that kind of already gave me, you know, a good feel of how it would be to fight on the big stage. So by the time I turned pro, like I told you, my first fight, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury 3.
That's big.
Big card, big stage in the T-Mobile Arena. So it was always something that I've been familiar with, you know, throughout my career. So it's like, it's not something that I get, you know, shy about when I fight in Tyson Jake Paul in AT&T Stadium. You know, just these big cards. I'm never shy around it, to be honest. I crave it. You know, people say, oh, pressure busts pipes, but pressure always also make diamonds as well. Right. You know, I think about it like that. I don't think about the glass half empty. I think about the glass half full. You know what I mean? And that's just the mentality that I feel like I have to have in order to continue to progress and become, you know, one of the greats.
Going back to the champions that you know that won't fight you, but you've been calling them out, do you think it's because of the amateur pedigree you've had? And not only having just 12, 13, 14 fights and being undefeated, you've had 200 plus amateur fights. So do you think it's experience that you have, or they're just
economics?
I think it could be economics, right? I think because if, like, I think about it, if I'm in their shoes, it's like he's high risk and low reward. Right. If I have the choice to fight other champions, or if I have the choice to fight a guy that's around his ranking, but still get good money, I'm gonna go that route.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying?
Anyone should.
You know what I mean?
Just,
you know, I get it, right? I get it. I totally understand the business. It is what it is. But I just think it's cowardice, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a lot of dudes just, me, I crave, like, these big fights. And for me to see these guys not trying to, you know, but they use these excuses like, oh, he didn't fight this guy. He didn't fight that guy. Did Espinosa fight anybody with a big name before he fought Robeisy Ramirez? Stop the excuses, dude. Stop it. Like, I genuinely don't like that excuse. It's such a cop-out. You know what I mean? And it's just something that I just can't, you know, get down with. And when these guys call themselves champions, but they're taking this easy route, I just can't do it. Like, I love guys like Errol Spence. You know, he fought like all of the who's to get these belts. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you gotta dare to be great.
You have to dare to be great. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the type of fighters that I respect. You know, I think about the 4 Kings era. And I see myself as a guy like that type of mentality. And I feel like right now, because there's a lack of people like that, I'm gonna, you know, shock the world and, you know, remind everybody this is what boxing is all about. And that's right. We're gonna make boxing fun again.
That's amazing. And with that said, looking at your legacy and everything outside of boxing, what do you want your legacy to be? Not as a champion, but as a Brooklyn fighter representing your city.
Man, I genuinely just, you know, okay, in boxing, right? I definitely want to be known as one of the best. When you have guys in conversation like Mike Tyson, Zab Judah, whatever the case is, like Shu Shu Carrington, I want to be a part of that conversation. But also as a person, like, I'm ready, like, this year in December, I plan on doing like, you know, a Christmas giveaway to, you know, my peoples in Brownsville and stuff like that. Like, I really want to be able to be someone that's just not seen as a guy that made it out, but also gave back to the community, and someone that the people can get behind, and also realize, like, listen, if he can do it, then I can do it too. I can follow the blueprint, because the guys that's kind of coming up in my generation, they see me, you know, selling candy when I didn't have enough money to go to certain tournaments, and I'm out, you know, all through all 4 seasons in the blistering cold when it's snowing out, and I'm selling candy out on the corner, just, you know, finding ways to just do what I do best and do what I love, and just being so consistent with it. You guys firsthand see that blue, which in my neighborhood that I grew up, you don't always see that. Well, you see gang, crackheads and killings. That's what you see on a regular basis. But hopefully I could just be an inspiration to people that's coming up.
Well, you must be a savant, because you could see the future or something here, because the question, they're loaded up, but you answered it right.
Oh, yeah.
The back, I answered 3 of them in a row.
That's what
and you laid very inspiring. It's like you laid out the story, so I know you can see the knockout coming if you've seen it. Because that was pretty in depth.
Sure.
He read it verbatim. And the last thing I'll say here: do you see going into up in weight eventually, and or anything like that?
100%. Yeah. I feel like because the vision is so clear and possible for me to become an undisputed featherweight world champion, I think I want to do that first, because I would make history at that point. You know, I would definitely make history and be in history books. But after that, I plan on taking over the 130 division, and then I see myself ending my career at 140, possibly 147. If there's like a big fight at 47, do something like Bud Crawford did. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe, you know what I mean? You never know.
He set the
tone.
He set the tone.
He set the tone. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? I definitely plan on doing something like that for sure. And but yeah, 130 is definitely in a not too distant future.
So you're gonna go out there like Bud, you're feeling, and that's what you forecasting, because he definitely defied the science of what everybody would think. So here's a section we're about to have a little fun. Okay, it's gonna be called Shu or False. Okay? A little bit of fun.
I like
We're
that.
gonna ask Shu or False. If it's true, it's Shu.
Yes, right. That's right.
If it's false, it's false.
Yeah.
So Brendan's gonna take this section over. He's gonna ask you the questions.
Okay.
Test you out a little bit.
Test
your knowledge.
and see if you have use some of that savant you just threw.
Got you.
Let's
First
go.
question. You can't.
I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking, bro. I'm not looking.
All right. So, true or false?
Okay.
Mike Tyson turned pro at the age of 18.
Ooh, that's a good question. Shu.
Answers behind you.
Yeah.
Shu. There you go.
Champion at 20, no?
He became world champion at 20.
That's right. That's
Shu.
right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He made his pro debut March 1985 at 18 years old.
Yeah.
The WBC belt, is it green because it's representing Mexican heritage?
Shu.
Survey says false.
Yeah, I would have thought that.
It's a green iconic strap, but it was more because of the branding.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay, I see. That's why
it's
they
branding.
Okay,
the Mexican
cool.
flag is green, but it just stuck with it. And
Got you.
shout out to all the Hispanics.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
got a few fans.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they show me a lot
all
of
the
love.
Mexicans that I've been around that are pro fighters, they all want that green belt.
I did too.
Just because, you know, it's this sport, you know, it's dictated by the Latin dollar in a lot of ways.
For sure.
You know, and I know you love your Mexican fans.
Oh, 100%.
I've seen you
100%.
around them
Yeah.
signing autographs and
all the
stuff
time.
like
Yeah,
that.
they show me a lot of love,
They
bro.
support you.
They support me big time.
They like fighting.
Yeah,
so it's not gonna
100%.
care if you're black, white, Mexican, Asian.
Yeah.
If you can
Love
fight,
the fight.
They'll
they
appreciate you.
Yeah.
They're not going to hate. They're not going to throw beer at you. They're going to be like,
And-
I want
and
a
they-
picture with Shu.
Yeah, for real.
They kept it alive when it seemed like it was going to be wavering. They're unwavering when it comes to the culture and their love for the sport.
Fighting.
Absolutely.
All right, next question. Prince Nassim Hamed never fought in the U.S.
Oh, that's false. That's false. He fought right in New York with Kid Kelly. Kevin Kelly, excuse me.
At Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. Come on, that was an iconic fight. That's a nigga fight right there. So I knew that one.
Okay.
sir.
All right. There's never been. All right. I think you mentioned this earlier.
Okay.
You had like spoken into existence.
Yeah.
There's
He's a
never been
savant.
an undisputed featherweight champion in the 4-belt era.
Yeah. That is Shu.
Yep.
That is definitely Shu.
Shu.
Wow.
He read through
Nice.
the paper.
Until Shu Shu.
That's right. That's right.
Still Shu Shu.
Yeah, that is right.
Until Shu Shu.
New York.
Right.
Shu York. Floyd Mayweather has never fought at Madison Square Garden.
That is Shu.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard him express before that he always wanted to fight him at Square Garden in one of his interviews, and so that was interesting. I had no idea until I watched the interview. But yeah, that's Shu.
Yeah.
He has a secret love for New York, man. He
does.
definitely does.
I don't think Uncle Sam and him go.
That's right. That's
think
why
that-
all his fights in Vegas.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I don't blame him. I ain't gonna lie to you. I love New York.
43%.
I love fighting in Madison Square Garden too. But hey, let me have more fights out here in
correct.
Vegas, bro.
Money
Vegas
man.
or Texas.
Yes.
So are we gonna take a peek behind us on this next piece here, Brendan?
Yes. Yeah. We have a new segment. It's a segment of you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to show you. It's a New York Metro boxing clip. It was you versus Curtis Marvin.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
132 pounds, open bout.
Yeah.
What do you think of this clip? What do you remember?
Hey, man. When I tell you, bro, I was so out of shape for this fight, bro. I was so tired, man. Hey, but he came to fight though, bro. It was like such a tough fight, and we were going at
Versus
it, man.
Blue.
Yeah, I'm in the blue,
Yeah,
and that was a pretty good fight. But I knew that I had the experience over him, so it was like, okay, like even though I was kind of getting fatigued, like how I mentioned earlier, when these 8, 12 round fights, is like I knew that was gonna separate me from him, and I would say probably like towards the end of the second round into the third, I was just on straight IQ. So I just kind of using my abilities and agility against him, and I was able to win the fight.
Going to amateur events now, do you see this type of magnitude that you bring with nowadays? Do you see kids like
with
that?
certain fighters, yes, there's certain fighters for sure. Oh man, what's this kid's name? It's crazy. It's right on the tip of my tongue, man. Light-skinned kid, red hair. I cannot remember his name right now. I don't know why, because I really want to give him a shout out. He's from DC.
They're
But
brothers.
The brothers,
There's
right?
two of them.
There's
I
two
know.
of them. Yes,
Yeah.
you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know why his name is not coming to me, dude. When I tell you, he's ready for the pros. He's ready
He
for the
came by
pros.
gym, I think. Yeah.
But he's came by the gym, and he's a really good fighter. And he's one of those guys when you go to those amateur shows, amateur tournaments, there's a bunch of people just crowding around the ring, anticipating a knockout from him because he just lays dudes out. And he's young, bro.
Yes.
He's a young dude. Very excited to watch. I can't wait to see how his career unfolds.
He's got a good team too. It's him, his brother, and his dad.
Yeah. They're really locked
Special,
in.
yeah.
They're really
And
locked in.
GBN will be covering the amateurs. We're going to start highlighting these rising stars coming out of the amateurs, just like college football.
Yep.
Our boxing needs to put a spotlight on these rising stars coming out of amateurs. And that's
Kids
going to be
deserve
something we're
it.
going to
Yeah,
definitely do
Definitely.
in the near future.
Definitely.
So we closing in on the end here. It's been amazing having the energy in the room. We sat here about an hour before we got started. It's gonna be hard to match this type of energy. It's like you got a great fighter here, but you have a
appreciate
great
it,
person.
Thank you.
You got great character, bro,
Thank
and
you.
that's
Appreciate
really important. You know, God, like it says, a lot of people can open the door with personality.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
But
appreciate you
this-
guys for having me as well here.
Man,
This
but
is
your
great.
character
always-
leave the
always.
door open, and you know we really are looking forward to you setting the tone for an amazing future, and history is going to be made. I have no doubt,
Thank you.
and I have to say I have no doubt when I sit next to an Aries.
Thank you.
Aries.
That's right. My
I have to
fellow
put
Aries,
that
brother. I
out there,
appreciate that. Yes,
man.
sir.
It's about determination. Sometimes it's not even. Sometimes you don't even have to have a plan. The plan is I got this.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I've
Right.
been around some great fighters, and I tell you right now, your energy, your confidence,
Thank you, man.
all that stuff. I mean, that's what makes me believe you're a shoe in, man.
Thank you.
For one of the best to ever lace them.
No pun intended. You see?
I like that. You're a shoe in. You're a shoe in.
You know, with your work ethic, your mindset, all that stuff, man. I can't wait to see how you keep on developing, and it's an honor. And we thank you for coming on the
And I
set.
have
Brendan,
one thing-
take
I have
us
one thing
out.
to say.
Mm.
He will be a full world champion
That's right.
in 2025.
That's right.
Let's
That's
go.
2026.
2026. Yeah, they ain't trying to see me at the end of
No, no.
2025. But it will happen in
2026, he will be a full world champion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another great episode here on the Global Boxing Network.
Thank
I'm
you.
here with Shu Shu. We're Prophecy, Brendan Gibbons, and we're out.
We're out.